How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Pirates Corner podcast. I'm Ryan Miller, back with Josh Rugo once again. Today, some of our topics are the recaps of the games up to this point, starting pitching, the bullpen, infield defense, Kevin Newman, Jason Martin, Josh Bell, and Will Craig, and some injuries. So I just want to start off with saying that last podcast, I said that we would have a bunch of guests on today's show and they would each get a topic and talk about it with us. But that kind of fell through. We had a bunch of people kind of back out on us, but I didn't really pursue anybody that hard until about Friday. So in the future, I'm going to do it where I talk to people earlier. So we will do that probably, maybe not next podcast, but the next one. Some way we'll find a way to do it during the year. So to start off, the Pirates are 5-3, correct?
Yep.
We split the early two-game series with the Reds. Then we got swept in the two-game series by the Cardinals, and we come
Could
back.
have easily won both those games.
Yeah. And then our four-game series with the Reds, we swept them in 4 games, and that was a really good series. We held their offense to 0 runs through the first 2 games, so the pitching was really getting back on track there. So we're going to start off with starting pitching, and in specific, Jordan Lyles. So I'll let you go ahead and start.
Yeah,
that.
so Jordan Lyles ended up pitching in one of the shutouts, actually the opener of the series, and everyone was kind of down going into that game. It was a situation where the Pirates had just fallen to 1-3. It didn't look like the bullpen could get anybody out, but we'll talk about that in a second. And all of a sudden, the Pirates, clearly the Pirates' worst starting pitcher was slated for the next game. Instead of panicking, the Pirates just went about their business. They're ready to play a 162-game long season, and they just they had Lyles make his start. Lyles ended up pitching pretty well, but the indicators were not strong. He pitched in a shutout game for the Pirates because the bullpen pitched really well in that game after his 5 scoreless innings. So Lyles did a nice job of mixing and matching when he fell behind. He just did a nice job of throwing a pitch that the batter wasn't expecting. And that was kind of, he was going with Cervelli's guidance. Cervelli knows that he doesn't have like 1+ pitch to go to all the time. So he just had him throw an array of pitches. Nothing got hit extremely hard. He gave up 3 hits in 5 innings. But he also walked 3 batters and only struck out 2. So he wasn't missing many bats. He really hasn't gotten into like a groove because he only pitched 5 innings. But it was a nice pick me up to have that to build on after what had happened the previous 2 games. So after today's start, I believe after Musgrove's start in Game 2, they were at 36 innings pitched with 5 runs allowed. The starters the past 2 days have allowed 6 total earned runs in 12 innings, which is a little bit of a down from the pace they were at early, but it's also back-to-back quality starts and back-to-back. Trevor Williams had a blown save.
Yeah.
Cost him a victory in yesterday's ballgame. But the Pirates have now allowed 11 runs from their starting pitching in 48 innings of work. So it's just a phenomenal pace. And here on Pirates Corner, we've really we've harped on how good this rotation is going to be. And
4 aces. How about that?
Even after what figures to be slightly let down starts from Trevor Williams and Chris Archer the past 2 days compared to what the rotation was pacing at, they're still at spectacular numbers. And the offense decided to really come to play the past 2 games. So what you're seeing is the starting pitching is the foundational strength of this team. And then the rest of the team it's a group of above average players. No superstar in the group unless Josh Bell becomes that.
There really isn't one player who stands out. Like, for an example, the Angels, obviously Mike Trout.
Yeah.
The Brewers, Yelich.
Yeah.
The Phillies, Harper. They do have some good names around Harper, but the Pirates, this is a team effort. And back to when we were in spring training and we talked to Kevin Kramer, Josh asked him an individualized question, and he answered back with a "we," which means they're all collectively trying to do
working towards the
same goal and having a team effort, which I really like to see out of this group.
Yeah, and that is going to be the key. And each night, it's going to play out a little bit differently. Some nights the starter's going to have a down night. He's going to miss location. He's going to give up a bomb that leaves the ballpark. And just to get to that in just a second, but the rest of the team is there and capable of bringing home the victory. It's a great team with a collection of 25 great players on the roster right now, and the 40-man roster is already getting utilized and the depth. But what I wanted to get to with pitches leaving the ballpark. Derek Dietrich has kind of been a thorn in the side of the Pirates in the early going. Caused Pirates fans a little bit of stress here and there.
It doesn't look like he's going to let up either.
Yeah. My suggestion is to pitch him inside, not to send like a message that you're trying to hit him or anything like that.
To jam him up?
Just to jam him up because he's leaning out over the plate. Archer left his home run ball. It was a fastball down, but it was middle away. It was probably, if you cut the plate in half, it was on the outer half of the plate. That ball left the yard. It ended up one hopping into the river. And then Kingham threw a pitch that was probably about 4 inches above knee height. It was a changeup, and Dietrich read that really well. He hit that one hopping into the river. So he ended up with two-run homers today, and him staring down the one caused some controversy.
Well, he stared down both of them, but he took a way longer look on the first one,
yeah,
which caused the brawl. We're not going to give the brawl a lot of airtime today, but, I mean, in my opinion, Archer made the right move. You don't sit there and just watch a home run leave the yard, and especially for a veteran starter like Archer, you're going to notice some things that maybe a rookie wouldn't, because Archer threw the ball, saw that it was gone, and immediately looked back at Dietrich and saw him just sit there and watch.
Yeah.
So, honestly, you were talking about before we started that you saw Marte and Puig talk before the inning changed over, where
yeah,
Marte probably said, hey, listen, there's probably going to be an inside pitch to Derek Dietrich in his at-bat this inning, and that's why Puig was on the top step of the dugout before the pitch was even thrown.
Yeah. But just to get back to that, what the primary focus, because Richard Rodriguez threw a home run ball to Dietrich on opening day, and it was in a very similar location. All pitches either middle away or out away, and the guy doesn't have such long arms that he should be able to extend to that. He's just a little bit too comfortable getting down into the zone, and the Pirates being a great pitching staff as they are, and this guy just celebrating the way he is, celebrating his home runs. He acted like he had won the World Series when he hit that one on opening day.
Yeah.
It ended up being a game winner, but yeah, it's just something to consider. He's a bench player for the Reds. He's not in their everyday lineup. But when he is, and we'll see plenty more of them, only 6 games of the 19 have been played, and so the Pirates will see plenty more of him. The key is, hey, pitch him a little bit differently. Give him a little bit of extra attention because he's already hit 3 bombs, and that'll go a long way towards Pirates' goal of being the best pitching staff in baseball. And coming into today, they were second in runs allowed. I don't know. I think there was one team that was like within 6 runs of them, so they're probably second again after today through 8 games. Not a big sample size, but it's nice to see that the pitching staff, even with the struggles of the bullpen, they're living up to the early season or preseason expectations. Where Tyone came out with that quote that MLB kept sharing, was a big thing on Twitter. Do the Pirates have the best rotation in the Central? I think that's quite clear. It's do the Pirates have the best,
especially looking at how the Cubs are doing?
Yeah,
the Cubs they're trash right now. I mean, we kind of expected it. We've been talking about it since spring training that this team has a bunch of older veterans who used to be good.
And are no longer healthy.
They're no longer effective. I mean, look at Cole Hamels. Look at John Lester. Jose
Darvish, Quintana yesterday. All of them. Not a single one of them. Kyle Hendricks has been getting hit around. He got hit pretty hard in Atlanta. I think he gave up 5 runs. And Atlanta was pissed after getting swept in the Phillies series. But, yeah, that's our next opponent, the Cubs. So it'll be nice to go in there, kind of wreck their home opener, get a series win. That's the key. Don't set the bar too high. It'll be nice to go in there and just work on getting a series victory. Keep winning series. And the key to that will be our next topic here, which is the bullpen struggles. And if you want to get into that, Ryan.
Yep. So I saw a lot of things posted on Twitter about the Pirates bullpen, especially slanders towards Keone Kela. Now,
and Felipe
Vasquez. Now, with Kela, midseason last year we traded for him. Best reliever on the market. Just going a little bit off track. Best starter on the market was Chris Archer. We got both of them. We immensely upgraded our pitching staff. But early on, yes, Kela did struggle. He gave up a lot of runs to start out. But since then, and I know that he gave up a home run yesterday, since then he's settled down. Now, he's proven to us that he is a dominant pitcher with all of his outings in Texas and the tail end of last year. He was really effective for us. Now, players, like, they usually have to kind of find their groove. Because think about it this way, too. We've played the Reds and the Cardinals so far. The Cardinals do have their spring home in Florida, but we have not seen the St. Louis Cardinals at all this spring.
Yeah.
The Reds are over in Arizona. So playing these new teams, and it's going to be the same with the Cubs, not saying that the bullpen's going to blow every lead, but we're seeing a new team that we have not seen for the last month and a half. But, you know, Kela, he'll settle down and he'll continue to be dominant just like he has in the past. It's just a little bit of a rocky start. Same with Rich Rod, same with Vasquez. Now, to all the Pirates fans on Twitter saying that these guys should get traded, I've even seen cut. I've seen placed on the bench, basically. Don't pitch. Do not pitch them. And wanting Liriano out there and Brault out there instead of them. I mean, these guys, that's our 8th and our 9th. They shouldn't be sitting the bench by any means.
They're all-star level players.
Yeah, they're definitely all-star level players. So, by saying that they should get cut, they should get traded, and just kind of, you know, sent away is definitely a bad take. Because, I mean, last year Felipe's an all-star. I saw something too, I think it was in the group chat that we're in, about Felipe not being dominant anymore.
Just because his
earned run average was a 2.7 last year,
and it went up from like 1.73 the year before.
But I mean, didn't Felipe have a rough start to start off the year last year as well?
Yes, he did.
So, I mean, especially for pitchers, hitters, they get reps, and reps. And yes, they do have to face a pitcher, but usually 2 out of their 3 at-bats a game are against the same pitcher. When a pitcher comes in, they're facing 3 or 4 different batters an inning if it goes good. So they're constantly seeing different people. And like I mentioned earlier, they're seeing different teams, the Reds, the Cardinals, and soon to be the Cubs. Hopefully they figured it out and they can go ahead and pitch dominantly in this upcoming series. If they don't tomorrow and for some reason we lose one way or another, off day. Sit there, watch film, learn the hitters, and then for the next 2 games in that series, dominate.
I don't even feel like it's just the hitters. Kella was kind of labeled as struggling because he pitched very carefully to Goldschmidt in our home opener. He walked him in to walk in a run. And then he goes and gets the final 3 outs of the inning and keeps a lead intact. So they go to Birdie in the 8th. And Birdie has it all going. He gave up an infield hit that he probably shouldn't have touched the ball on. He knocked it away from the fielders. To start that inning. Then he strikes out back-to-back batters. And then he throws a wild pitch and gives up a game-tying double. Then he gets final out. So whether it was opening day, whether like all of a sudden you could see after it was so easy to get those 2 strikeouts back-to-back, it was like all of a sudden he tightened up and he just couldn't perform to his norm.
Which
until
Birdie is a strikeout pitcher, by the way.
He forgot how to perform to his norm. Like the heart rate elevated, and he just couldn't locate, and he ends up hanging the slider inside to Tyler O'Neill.
And this guy's still new to the major leagues, by the way.
Yes, he's a rookie.
Last year, 1.1 innings.
Yeah.
I mean, he skipped over AAA. Granted, he did have like 2 games in AAA last year, but he skipped over a whole level, and that's the chance that you take with a Rule 5 draft pick, but I see him getting it together.
Yeah. But to get back to Kella ended up having to pitch the 7th inning or get all the outs in the 7th inning because Rich Rod and Liriano ran into trouble in that game. Kella comes out in the second game against the Cardinals, and he walks the first batter on 4 pitches. Falls behind 1-0 on Harrison Bader and then throws a ball, center cut it, gives up the home run. And then he gets the next 3 outs really quickly. So whatever it was, somehow, like he had the absolute inopportune moment, hit him, okay, and he went through that little blip. Opening day, Felipe all of a sudden is struggling to hit his spots. After Eric Gonzalez made the one error that everyone blames him for blowing that game, okay, for Goldschmidt to reach. And Goldschmidt had taken strike 3 in that at bat. He took strike 3 in the first inning.
Rough.
Yeah, against Archer, cost Archer a whole bunch of pitches because he ended up walking him. And yeah, Goldschmidt, they weren't going to ring him up at all. They weren't going to ring him up in that game. So Felipe has a little bit of a blip because Martinez hit Jose Martinez hit the opposite gap double to knock in the tying run in the 9th. So everybody seems to have a hand in it. Then going back to Rich Rod. Rich Rod is just steady trying to get people come out and chase his high fastball. He's since incorporated the slider a lot more. He had a very successful inning in the shutout, the first shutout against the Reds, pitching the 8th. And he has since gone on. He got the save today. 1, 2, 3.
First MLB save.
First MLB save, and he looked good doing it.
And the only reason why he got the save was because our closer got tossed. But that's beside the point. But
yeah, so Rich Rod bounced back. Felipe has since bounced back. Kella gave up the homer yesterday, but other than that, it was a really good inning.
He's bouncing back.
Yeah,
he's coming back.
It was an 0-1 pitch to Votto, okay, and he missed across the plate, all the way across the plate. Only Joey Votto, a pitch that is like hand high, like right on the inside line of the plate, is going to have enough bat speed, muscle, and just know-how as a hitter to hit that ball out. So Kela had another blown save, so that's 2 for him this season. But he's another guy just like Felipe, who's probably going to leave that early season blip far behind him as he goes on to pitch dominant innings. And as we're looking at the runs allowed so far this season, we've got the bullpen having allowed almost as many runs as the starters so far in what is a dominant performance by a pitching staff to start a season in their first 8 games. Now, infield defense played a role in the bullpen struggles. Okay, so far, Eric Gonzalez has taken a ton of criticism just because he's working on a lot of things at the plate. He's had 2 really nice RBI extra base hits so far, but opening day he was a little bit tight. He ranged really far to his left on a ball where he was playing Goldschmidt to pull, and Goldschmidt hit it almost where a shortstop would regularly play. So lightning quick, Gonzalez is there. Ball as it was either in and out of his glove or on the transfer, it got away from him. Still a long throw, no chance to recover. Goldschmidt's safe. Then today, that was...
I did not watch the game today. I had baseball practice, but...
Yeah. Today, Peraza hit a ball. He chopped it. It was too far to Gung's left for him to go after it. But Gonzalez was playing him more towards the middle of the diamond against Peraza. And he goes and... like on the transfer, ball pops out of his glove because he was trying to hurry that throw that he's made twice. Spectacular highlight plays so far, and he gets charged with another error. Chances are, with it being Peraza running down the line, him having a range deep in the hole to grab a slowly hit ball, Peraza probably beats it out, but the PNC Park scorer seems to be of the same mindset of some of the fans. Like they're not 100% sure what's a hit or an error.
The scorer likes Jordy Mercer. So
he's trying to make our guy Eric Gonzalez look bad. But Gonzalez he played a great game out of the 8th spot in the lineup today. And then to take it to the rest of the infield.
Yeah.
Gung's played spectacular.
Yeah,
at third.
Gung's holding his own down there and making some good plays, getting to baseballs that Colin Moran would not get to.
And Moran got a ball on opening day with Archer on the mound. Cost Archer some pitches. He got a ball go right by, and he made an error in the inning where the Cardinals got 2 off of Rich Rodriguez.
Yeah,
and they ended up getting another one because that base runner came around to score. Well, not that specific base runner. Pushed the scoring run further onto the base paths when he made that error. It was just a ball. He actually ranged for it, okay, into the hole. And it goes off the end of his glove. He picked it up quickly, but with Harrison Bader running, he didn't have a play on whoever was running from first to second, and with Bader running, it was over.
Yeah.
So
now let's compare this infield defense to the rest of the league.
Yeah. So some of you guys out there, some of our listeners, you watch the Pirates, okay? So anytime the Pirates do something negative, you're like, same old Pirates. Going back to the 20 straight losing seasons or any bad defensive Pirates team you've ever seen in your lifetime.
Jordy Mercer. I'm sorry I'm kind of going after him this podcast. But.
His recent defense, that wasn't so great. Short-handed, but no range.
He liked to dive, though.
Yeah. So any poor defensive teams you've seen recently from the Pirates that makes you think same old Pirates? Well, guess what? Some of these balls are hit into no man's land, and they're not plays that are going to be made. Okay, so for example, you've got an infield hit given up in one of the first 8 games where Frazier ranged hard up the middle, and he doesn't have to a chopper that got by the mound, and he doesn't really have a play on it at first, or he threw it to first, and the throw's late because it's just simply an infield hit, and all of a sudden Pirates fans just start going off saying the infield defense is terrible. Well, if you look at the statistics going into yesterday's ball game, the Pirates had converted the highest percentage of balls in play into outs. Okay, and that says something about their infield defense. It says that their infield defense not only is not as bad as you think, it's actually good. So
a huge upgrade at shortstop.
Huge upgrade defensively at shortstop. Gung's converting just about everything into an out. Frazier has played well. There's only 2 plays off the top of my head that anyone could possibly complain about, and one of them he slipped on opening day.
He got so much crap for that.
I know. I
really
did
don't
not
understand
get it. He was hustling in. Okay?
Everybody slips.
He can see the runner. Okay, the runner is Tucker Barnhart, who isn't spectacularly slow. Tucker Barnhart's a pretty good athlete.
Yeah.
We saw him staying after Puig, trying to block him, and then hanging on his leg today. So the guy obviously has some mobility, and he's hustling down the line. Frazier can see out of the corner of his eye, and it's a slow chopper, okay? And Frazier was playing him in semi-shift, okay, deep on that side of the infield. He has to come a long way for that ball, and then he has to stop. His feet go out from under him, and people just were irate because he attempted a throw that Bell was able to keep close enough.
Did he shovel it with his glove?
No.
No?
He just tried to throw rolling over.
Okay, gotcha.
So maybe he should have held on to it, but he knows who the runner is. He slipped, and as soon as he slipped, the play's not over. If he can get a throw there, just flip it quickly, because he wasn't that far from the bag. He's probably like 20 feet from the bag where he slipped. But it's a situation where maybe mid-season, if he were to slip, I don't think he's ever going to slip again like that.
Yeah.
Because it was just a combination of things, just the weather on opening day, and just a play where it's kind of do or die. And just because people hold this kind of bias against Frazier's defense, which he's worked hard on, and he's really doing a phenomenal job of turning double plays. We saw that today. Turning one quickly today to get Iglesias, quick runner, on a ball that wasn't hit very hard to Gonzalez. Gonzalez charged it perfectly, flips it to Frazier, and Frazier's just quick there at the second base back, doing a really nice job. So he's obviously worked on that, but people just thinking he's a bad defender, and he's really not.
Well, think of it like this. You have 4 infielders, okay, not including the pitcher, the catcher. We replaced 3 out of that 4 this season. I mean, Kyle Moran, obviously not known for his range. We bring in Gung, known for his range. Shortstop. Mercer's out of here. Gonzalez is in. Of course, Gonzalez will take whatever we can get with the bat, but he's a very, very good defensive shortstop and very rangy. Second base, Adam Frazier finally finds a position to stick at, and Harrison is out the door.
Yeah, so it is an infield that it's going to take a little bit of time to gain the continuity, but the fact that they're turning double plays, looking like pros doing it today, when they haven't played a lot of innings together, there isn't that chemistry yet on the infield. The fact that they were able to do that with a speedy runner coming down the line today says a lot about this middle infield, especially. And this infield defense, Josh Bell continues to work on his game. It's not great defensively, but he's getting the job done. He's working hard over there at first base, and this team's only going to get better. So,
do you want to move on to Kevin Newman?
Yeah.
Tie him in a little bit?
Kevin Newman, he started 2 out of the last 3 games, and he ended up driving in the first run on Thursday night, the series opener against the Cincinnati Reds. And the ball that he hit to drive in that first run, he's had game-winning RBI.
Yeah. He's famously known for the
walk-off hit. Yeah, two of the last 3 wins, he's had the game-winning RBI. So he ended up going over 3 in that game. I don't remember if he reached base, but he swung at a pitch that was well in off the plate and hit a dribbler or just a little chopper to first base that they couldn't turn 2 on. He gave it a run down the first baseline, but the Reds did a nice job with the pitcher covering. So he gets the RBI on a ball. He didn't drive to the outfield. He didn't actually do a great job with the amount of authority he put it in play with, but he got to a pitch on a 2-strike count, I believe it was, that pretty much had him beat, but he was able to make enough contact to drive in the RBI, drive in the run. So good job by him in that sense. But what I really wanted to get to with Kevin Newman today, I don't know if you watched any of the spring training highlight videos of his extra base hit. Like
I have not. I'm gonna have to find him and watch
run. He got on when he finished spring training strong. Like it was like going into the last 5 to 7 games of spring training. He took Jake Arrieta deep and had another extra base hit. Well, what I noticed is he was doing that on fastballs down, out over the plate. So they were middle half away. Yesterday, with the walk-off hit, that pitch from Iglesias was middle half in on a fastball down. So Newman being able to hit both pitches down, both sides of the plate down, says a lot about the work he's done in the cages with his swing path and everything like that, to be able to take comfortable swings at pitches like that that are not typically thought of as pitches to hit.
Yeah, hittable baseballs.
Yeah, so he's another guy who plays middle infield. Okay, smooth at second, turns a double play nicely, and he's showed an increase in range, just strength overall. Like he's been working hard because he came into camp competing as to be the starting shortstop with Eric Gonzalez. And some people were a little bit upset that he didn't get into the game or get to start today.
Well, more goes into it than just he hit the walk-off.
Yeah.
He's been driving in RBIs.
He put together seven or 8 good at bats in his 2 starts. He's gotten going, and that's really valuable off the bench as a pinch hitter. He's now a viable option if like a lefty on lefty matchup is coming up, and you decide you want to pinch hit him and go right-handed advantage, because now you know he's got a little bit of extra base pop at the big league level that he's shown against some MLB pitchers. So
yep. And when we had DiNardo on the show down in Florida, we all projected our bench. Now, I believe that I had him on the bench.
Yes,
but
you did.
I think that DiNardo had him going down to AAA.
No, I was the only one that had him.
You had him going down to AAA. Okay, so I'm glad that he didn't. I like him off of the bench now, since we've been seeing what he can do with the bat, and he's a nice little fielder. I mean, Egon's better, but
yeah,
he's still a decent option there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out, because obviously the Pirates don't have the worst shortstop situation in the league like Dayan would have you believing. basically suggesting that Gonzalez can't play the shortstop position defensively at the big league level, and that he really will never hit. Well, that's not true. The key is to continue to get him reps, and he looks like he's gaining some type of hold on the whole concept of batting eighth. Newman is not a guy that you would want hitting eighth, just because he's always hit top of the order.
Yeah, he would be more like 1-2.
Or 6-7. You wouldn't want to ask him to hit eighth because he's never been a guy that you want to. He's never been a guy that was adept at drawing walks.
He's kind of more like upper lineup or middle down kind of thing.
Yeah. So that's kind of the trade-off that you get with that situation. Newman looks like he's going to be a contributor to this club, and that's a big plus because obviously he doesn't have the same flashy skills that Kramer's put on display, Tucker's putting on display, Ke'Bryan Hayes with his 2 doubles today has put on display. So those are the positions that he would play, and he's obviously not going to get a chance to start at any position on this infield except for shortstop. So if he continues to work on his shortstop game and kind of adds to his versatility, he'll get into a lot of games. Maybe learn some outfield. We heard this past week because of all the injuries to the outfielders that him and Colin Moran were getting some reps in left field. So that was kind of interesting. But
we can tie the outfield talk into our boy Jason Martin. Now, a couple weeks ago, I was talking to Josh about, is there any chance that Jason Martin makes this team out of spring training? And your response was, no, he's
a prospect. You need to protect him.
He's a prospect. Protect him and let him master the AAA level before he comes up to the big leagues. Now, he basically made the opening day roster because a couple series in, he's already up. Now, we saw Jason down at spring training. We were at the first game when he hit that bomb off of the AAA pitcher. I think it was Luke Leftwich, I believe, on the Phillies, that he drove right out to right center and cleared the berm. Now, we were down in Florida for a week, and it seemed like every day we went to batting practice.
Yeah.
Now, batting practice, we go out in the outfield and try to catch as many baseballs as possible. Now, during the downtime, I like to kind of watch the players and what they're doing. Not to kind of slander him or anything, but Michael Felice stands there with his hands behind his back, and whenever a ball comes out, he kind of just moseys over to it, picks it up, and throws it in. Jason Martin is out there. Now, I understand that Felice is a pitcher and Jason Martin's an outfielder, but he is out there running from center to right, right to left. I mean, he's all over the outfield every batting practice catching these baseballs. And I think it's just a work ethic that his parents brought him up with, because this guy seems like a really hard worker, and he's a friendly guy too. I bet you that his parents said, you need to work hard, you need to show effort, and you need to have a good head on your shoulders. Not get too hot-headed, because you, Josh, talked to him a lot, and he answered back, and he remembered you throughout the week. So it kind of just shows how genuine of a guy Jason Martin is. And going into his play, first MLB at-bat, first hit, first stolen base, first run, today first RBI. So this guy is already producing at the big league level.
Yeah, I kind of won him over. One of the first things I said to him is, I saw him out there doing serious work in center field. He goes racing back and takes down a ball that is over almost everybody playing at the depth that he started at on the play. He goes racing back, catches the ball, and I yelled, Jason, when I grow up, I want to be just like you.
And he started laughing.
He started laughing, and then he came over and he talked to me right before he went in to take his BP. And I talked to him multiple times throughout the rest of the week. Whenever we saw him coming by, he would stop and he would acknowledge us.
When we were waiting for Ke'Bryan down the line in Bradenton, he's walking out with his bag, and you said something like good bomb the other day, because Josh asked him, he said, hey, hit a bomb out here when you're up, because he was in the next group. He hit a bomb down the line,
No, it snuck right into the corner of the berm. I went racing over there, and somebody was right at the fence to catch it. So.
Yeah, it was right down the line, because at the Philly Spring Training Complex, it's like a little group of palm trees, the foul pole, another little group of palm trees, and then the berm.
Yeah.
So it was kind of right on that edge. But Jason Martin, the youngest guy on the roster right now, 23. Yep. He had a really nice season at Altoona last year. Kind of fell off in AAA, hit some struggles, kind of adjusting to a new level. He didn't even play a game down there this year.
No. Because the AAA season started on Thursday, and instead of, I think he may have flown to Indianapolis or Columbus.
Yeah.
For the start of the season, but then he was yanked from the opening day lineup.
So what happened was Dickerson. It came out, John Parado said he got hurt. He's having some shoulder issues. So that day, he pinch hits. And we're like, okay, maybe it's just some soreness. Give him the off day tomorrow. He just pinch hit, whatever. Next day, shoulder strain, 10-day.
Yeah.
They activate Lyles to make his start. So that kind of went hand in hand. We were carrying 8 pitchers, or an 8-man pen at that point.
Yeah.
And then they come out and they say that Jason Martin's coming to the majors, and all signs kind of point to it because he was removed from the Indianapolis roster on Thursday.
Yeah.
And, they didn't come out and say Martin's coming up, but they removed him from the roster, and there was no reason to remove him from the roster other than bringing him up.
Yeah, so this is a guy, he had some AAA experience last year. It was kind of a struggle for him in AAA.
It's like 80 at-bats. Maybe.
Yeah, it wasn't a ton of playing time at AAA, but he has played at AAA. He spent time at each and every level of the minor leagues with the Astros before coming over in the Garrett Cole trade, and then spent time at AA and AAA for the Pirates last year. So this is a guy who the Pirates value as a prospect. So after he gets done filling in for injury at the big league level this year, he's going to go back to AAA, and he'll stay down there long enough to
probably until September. Later,
it depends on how long he's up here. He'll be a guy who shuttles back and forth. He hasn't put too much time on his arbitration clock, so the Pirates should be able to get the better part of 7 seasons out of him. I wouldn't be upset if he ended up being Super 2 eligible and gets paid 4 seasons in arbitration. He seems like a good kid who works hard. He would probably deserve that. And if the fans keep coming out to the ballpark like they did in the season, the home opener, then we'll have a situation where we can have nice things.
And finally, people are believing that we won the Cole trade. Finally. Yes. Every player in that trade is in the major leagues. Well, has been in the major leagues. Feliz obviously struggling like he usually does. But Musgrove dominating. Moran, his bat is good. We all know about Colin Moran. But now Jason Martin is in the major leagues, and he's making an impact from the start. So
2 games played.
2 games.
2 really well-played games for him, defensively and on the offensive side of the ball. So this kid can play. And just to kind of transition to a couple of his buddies, he got to be good friends with Josh Bell and Will Craig.
A AAA friend.
Yeah.
Will Craig down at AAA putting in work. One more thing on Jason Martin, though. I really want to buy his T-shirt jersey, but I don't think he's going to keep 51. So I think that we should wait on that, Josh, before we start going crazy.
51 looks good on him.
Yeah, it does, but you never know.
Yeah.
But, okay, so back to Will Craig and Josh Bell. So Craig's down at the minors slugging. He's making good plays. And right after he starts really heating up down there, so does Josh Bell. Bell, not the best start ever, but now, yesterday, home run. Today, clears the batter's eye. That was a complete bomb. 474 feet. Fourth longest in PNC Park history. And PNC Park is not a hitter's park. Yep. So that's really says something.
Yeah, so Will Craig in Game 1 and Game 2, he's now 4 games into the AAA season, he hit absolute rocket shot line drives, home runs to left field. And today he ended up going 0 for 4, and he had a couple of strikeouts. But he's taken some really good at bats, shown that approach that had him drawing walks in the Arizona Fall League and drawing walks in spring training. The guy was walking all the time in spring training. And it looks like he's got power. So he's really, really done a lot of work to kind of take his defensive game to the next level at first base. We saw him pop up and make some good throws to second to start double plays, and that's one of the areas that people see as a weakness in Josh Bell's game because he really has not mastered that yet. Josh Bell he's doing an adequate job at first base, and he's obviously aware of what's going on because, or he was just really opportunistic.
Yeah,
he saw Craig get off to a hot start, and he's like,
I better start getting my tail moving now.
Yeah, so or it could have been just talent taking over, opportunistic. He started driving the ball opposite gap, and on off-speed pitches, he raked one down the line and right, and that's the only balls that he's really turning on, and killing to the pole field. Hit both of his home runs to center field yesterday and today, and he also has 3 doubles the past 2 games to go along with that.
He's really starting to get that bat going.
Being the cleanup hitter that we need. We need a guy who's going to hit a lot of extra base hits, hit some balls over the wall out of the cleanup spot. And with Polanco and Dickerson currently out of the lineup, Josh Bell was the man the past 2 days. And that went a long way towards them putting up 13 runs in the final 2 games of this series, with all 13 of them being necessary to take home that big sweep that they got. So I just mentioned the 2 of the injured players. So what it looks like is Polanco has started his rehab.
I have a Polanco update. Today, 2 at-bats, 2 walks.
So Polanco's doing what he does, being patient at the plate, and it'll be nice to see him start driving the ball once he gets back into the flow of things. Maybe a week or so of rehab starts, maybe a little bit more than that, just depending on how it goes.
And listen to this lineup. So we got, when Dickerson comes back, Dickerson left, Marte center, Polanco right, Bell, Frazier, Gonzalez, and Gung with Cervelli behind the plate. Now, J.B. Shuck, not known for his bat, known for his defense, out there doing what he has to. Maybe not on the offensive side, but that pushes him out of the lineup. And Melky, who actually has been hitting really well so far to start the year, it pushes him out of the lineup. But we replace both of them with 2 really good players. Yeah,
guys that are going to be better defensively. Polanco will be better defensively than Melky's been so far. And Dickerson, he brings a similar defensive ability to what Jason Martin's been giving you, but only the past 2 games. So it'll be good to have those 2 professional hitters back in the lineup together at the same time. We'll get to see what this lineup is like legit. As the lineup that we expected to be a really good offensive team to start last year. And then a couple guys disappointed. It kind of turned sour. Everybody thought that the Pirates couldn't hit. Well, they ended up with close to 700 runs last year, and I think they'll eclipse that mark this year. So Diaz is another guy coming back from that virus that lasted a while throughout spring training.
And he's how about Stallings? He's doing what he needs to.
Looking like every bit the great backup catcher that here on Pirates Corner we've kind of labeled him as. It's going to be interesting to see what happens as they try and pass him through waivers if they play that game.
Hopefully he passes through. I'm really hoping.
Yeah, and the other key guy with the bicep tightness is Kyle Crick.
Yeah.
Kind of surprising to see him go on the disabled list, but it should be just a 10-day stint. Get him that rest. Allow him to kind of work through that. Maybe throw a bullpen session or two. Day 8 and 9 on the disabled list, and then activate him once he's ready to go.
It's just getting those muscles loose again and getting out there and continuing to do what Kyle Crick does.
Yeah, he looked phenomenal in the early going when we saw him out there on the mound. The overreaction by the fans had him labeled as the only good relief pitcher in the Pirates' pen at one point.
Yeah.
So it was, they were all disappointed when he went on the disabled list, but then everybody else seemed to get their act together simultaneously, like we knew they would. So.
Yeah, you guys need to wait a little bit before you make all these strong opinions. Because these guys are going to bounce back. Trust me.
Stuff happens. Baseball's a game where
it's a mental game.
If you're trying too hard, you're going to look silly here and there.
Yeah.
No matter how good you are, as soon as you buy into your hype and start trying to cruise like skate on notoriety, guess what? You're going to get humbled. As soon as you get humbled and decide, oh, I gotta really do better. You start pressing, and all of a sudden you mess up because of that. So baseball's a game where 1 out of 3 is good. So
yeah. It's a game of failure, but it's also a mental game.
Yeah,
and it's obviously a physical game too. So there's a lot of boundaries to get around when you're struggling. So
hurdles.
Yeah, hurdles, boundaries, whatever. But you can't say that Crick is the only good reliever. After there's some early season struggles. Everybody needs struggles at one time to keep their head on a swivel and kind of work back and make adjustments and just get back on track and pitch like everybody expects them to.
Then having the depth with all the great prospects that they have at AAA this year, having that type of depth, hey, it lights a fire under some of these guys. Guys like Eric Gonzalez. If Cole Tucker's ready to go, you don't think he's going to be playing the best baseball of his life, trying to keep his job midsummer this season? So that's what we have to look forward to. We have talent pushing everyone at the top of the pipeline, ready to graduate. And you've got a group of players that are all mostly former top prospects. Some of them haven't gotten the most out of their ability yet consistently throughout their young careers. And we're in for a fun season. Pirates are 5-3. They're not going to be a last place team in the Central. Hate to break it to you, naysayers. Yeah. This team has a lot of talent.
I saw something today. I forget where it was, but it said the Cardinals, Cubs, and Reds are all in a dogfight for last place. Which is pretty true so far. Obviously, the Brewers are probably going to be the biggest hurdle that we have to get over this year.
I don't think that's the case.
Their bullpen is bad, and their pitching staff is bad. But their bats, they have some pretty good bats in there. And I'm not saying that they're going to be an issue for us. I'm just saying they're going to be the best team that we face in the division because I don't believe that the Cubs can do it. I don't believe that the Cardinals can do it. And as we've seen, the Reds can't do it.
Well, it's a little bit early to say that definitively.
Yeah.
I think the Reds,
it's just what I'm expecting.
Getting off to a 1-8 start, it kind of has them down on themselves. So we probably are not going to hear a lot from them until sometime a little bit later this season. They're going to make their annual little push where they play their best baseball, which they haven't so far. There's talent on that team, so beating the crap out of them isn't like you're beating a minor league team. No, this is a group with pitchers that are better than last year, and the offensive group's better than last year. It's not a clear-cut last place team in any other division, but it looks like they may finish last in the Central just because there's a lot of talent in this division. So I don't believe for a second that the Cardinals are dead. They're always going to stick around. They're off to kind of a mediocre start. They're pretty fortunate that they got 2 wins against us, but They did, and that makes up, I believe, two of their 4 wins so far. And then the Cubs are a disaster, but they have the capital to make a trade here and there, try and get a little bit better. And if their pitching staff gets healthy, they could make a little bit of a run. The Brewers look like the healthiest team in the division so far. The Pirates look like the most consistent, but the Brewers look like the healthiest team. And they're off to a raging hot start.
Christian Yelich
at the plate.
Imagine how good the Marlins would have been if they kept all these guys around. They would be a good team.
It wasn't working from a chemistry standpoint.
No,
it was like
wasn't.
Garrett Cole in Pittsburgh. But
yeah, because they weren't really doing anything. But, I mean, the Marlins would be scary if they all worked together and they had Ozuna, which it's Marcell Ozuna. I don't think that he's that great. But him, Yelich, Stanton, and then we got, if Jose Fernandez was still with us, he would continue to be a really good player. JT, all those type of guys.
And they traded away
really good players.
They traded away Luis Castillo for Dan Straley for the Reds.
Yeah,
Castillo is the Reds' ace.
He's causing us issues with his changeup.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about?
That pretty much wraps it up for this week.
I do have one question for you though.
Yeah.
Next year, who's our starting first baseman? Will Kreger, Josh Bell?
That is a really difficult question. Right now, I'm gonna say it's Josh Bell, but
Okay.
that is very fluid, subject to change at any moment. So
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see.
it'll be interesting to see if Josh Bell decides, with the potential exit of Corey Dickerson, if he decides return to the outfield is in his future. But Pirates management would have to be on board with that. So
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for listening to episode number 9. Now, I believe that we are at 22 subscribers so far. Our first podcast is over 100 views, so I want to thank all of you for that. Follow us on Twitter, me, Ryan from PC, and then Joshua Ruga, all one word. So thank you all.
One more
listening.
thing to add.
Oh, okay. P.S.
We're going to be in Washington on Saturday.
I almost forgot about that.
So
Saturday we're making the day trip down to Washington. If anybody's going to be there, let us know. You all have us on Twitter, so
follow us,
follow us.
to keep an eye on the photos we take, any interesting interactions we have with the players. But
we'll be there for batting practice, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thank you all for listening to episode number 9 with Josh and Ryan signing off. Have a good one, everybody.
Later.